do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indie's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indie's Sports Ticket, or My Take Is. You can also check out the show on X_Jonathan Smith if you want to follow me there. And you can also listen 1430 AM or on the Indie Sports Ticket app, wherever you download your apps. We got a Game 7, people. Game 7, Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Clear the calendar. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for Sunday night. I said it yesterday. If Tyrese Haliburton plays, I loved the Pacers last night. I loved them. Because you can't fake desperate. It is impossible. Okay, I talked about the importance of being desperate yesterday. When you're on the brink of elimination, you are more desperate. And that is a very important factor in every single playoff game, especially in the NBA. You can't fake it. Okay? When you're facing elimination, you just play with a little bit extra. Right? You just do a little bit more. And when you know you have a Game 7 at home in your back pocket, then no matter how many times you try to trick your brain, by saying that this game's important and you're 48 minutes from winning an NBA title and all those things, no matter how hard you try to trick yourself into getting yourself up for Game 6, if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, no matter what you do, it will not match the desperation of the Indiana Pacers playing at home, Game 6, with a chance of being sent home. We see this happen all the time in the NBA playoffs. We saw it in the Eastern Conference Finals. Pacers-Knicks, right? Pacers win Game 4. They go up 3-1. Haliburton, 32 points, 15 assists, no turnovers. Crazy game. And then they go to New York for Game 5. And they get wiped off the mat, very similarly to what the Pacers did to the Oklahoma City Thunder last night. And Pascal Siakam goes to the podium after the game, says that the Knicks played harder than the Pacers did. And then, you have the whole thing that he does with Doyle, and it goes viral and all that good stuff. This happens in the playoffs sometimes. It never happens on purpose, but when your back is against the wall, you play harder. You just do. When you know that at your current job, that whatever company you work for is in the process of making cuts, I'm sure you're going to work just like a little bit harder to hopefully not get fired or laid off. Okay? That's just a simple reality. It is a natural human nature thing. When people know that they're going to lose something important to them, they try harder. It's a very simple reality of human nature. And it's the exact same thing in the NBA. And when you have a great team, like the Indiana Pacers, because they are a legitimately great team, 15 wins in the postseason, pretty incredible. When you have a legitimately great team like the Indiana Pacers, and they're playing that hard, and they're playing desperately like we saw them do last night, good luck beating them if you aren't able to match the exact same energy. And the Thunder simply weren't able to match the energy level of the Indiana Pacers last night. That is part of why the Indiana Pacers won. That's what you saw. You saw a great team trying to remain in the fight just a bit longer with a chance to win a title, knowing that if they can get a win, then you got a Game 7, winner take all. And I think coming into this series, that's really all that the Pacers could have asked for. And there was an extra focus to the way that the Pacers played ball last night. And there was an extra oomph to everything that they did. They were the first to the floor for every loose ball. Every lazy Thunder pass resulted in a deflection or a steal. Every ball that they could save from going out of bounds, the Indiana Pacers saved it. And a lot of times it led to a bucket. Every 50-50 rebound, the Pacers went up and they got. And you could see it from the opening tip. You say, Jonathan, what are you talking about? They started 0 of 9 from the field. What do you mean you could see it from the opening tip? You could see the effort. I thought that the Pacers played too hard to open the game. You say, Jonathan, they played too hard. What in the world? Sometimes you can want something so badly that it results in you playing worse. And you end up pressing. I'll never forget my sophomore year of college playing baseball. I show up for fall camp, and this is what happened to me. I pressed and I played terribly. Didn't hit well at all in the fall. And then the summer comes around, or not the summer, excuse me. The fall semester ends. Coach lets me know, hey man, like you're not you're not gonna start for us. I was like, bummer. And then we come back and we start practicing, and I got one hit, and all of a sudden I was on fire that whole spring. And pretty much we saw the Pacers try so hard in those opening minutes that it actually resulted in them playing worse. And then eventually, Pascal Siakam hits 2 shots in a row. Everyone settled down, and then everything went in for the Pacers after that. And the defensive intensity through all of that never wavered. They were in passing lanes all night. They won the turnover battle easily, and that has defined every game of this series, and it's going to define Game 7 as well. Tyrese Haliburton has made, his impact on this series. He was good last night. You could tell he was okay early. I figured he would be after what we saw from him in the second half of Game 5, and he came out aggressive last night. He took a layup and a floater in the first 3 minutes. He missed both. I didn't care. In the moment, I was like, Tyrese Haliburton is aggressive. He's going to the rim. The Thunder were making him go left. He didn't care. He was aggressive, looking for his shot, and he was moving well. He was asked after the game just kind of what all went into the decision to let him play, how many conversations did he have, all that good stuff. Here's Tyrese Haliburton talking about his decision to play in Game 6 last night.
I just look at it as, I want to be out there to compete with my brothers. These are guys that I'm willing to go to war with, and we've had such a special year, and we have a special bond as a group. And, I think I beat myself up if I didn't give it a chance, I just wanted to be out there and fight, and just had to have an honest conversation with coach that, if I didn't look like myself and, was hurting the team, like, sit me down. Like, that's obviously I want to be on the floor, but I want to win, more than anything. So I just had to have an honest conversation with coach. But yeah, I want to be on the floor, and if I have the ability to, if I can, like I said, if I can walk, then I want to be out there. So, I just want to be out there with my brothers to compete. And, those guys have my back, and, I feel like I have theirs at the same time. So, that was important for me.
Tyrese Haliburton right there talking about the decision to play last night and the honest conversation he had with Coach Carlisle and how he wants to play, but winning is the ultimate important thing, and how he wants to get out there and compete with his teammates. And before I talk about Haliburton and how he played last night, he is such a good star. Like, he is the kind of person that every franchise, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, whatever, he's the kind of superstar, the kind of leader of your team / franchise that I think every team wants. He's not overly involved in himself. He is very much about his teammates. You can see it in the way that he plays the game. You can see it in the way that he talks at press conferences. He is about winning. And when you watch this Pacers team play, and look, this is going to sound kind of dumb, but they're about winning. And that sounds like a dumb thing, but every professional sports team is not about winning. I think it's actually rare to find sports teams that are like, you know what, we don't care, about the numbers that we put up. Like, we just want to win. There's some guys who want to win, but they also want to put up 20. And sometimes the idea of wanting to score 20 points, becomes more important than, winning the actual basketball game. Sometimes getting theirs becomes more important than winning the basketball game. And this Pacers team is so unselfish. And it's a large part of why they're here. And they are playing that way, and they behave that way because they're led by their best player, Tyrese Haliburton, who embodies unselfishness in both the way that he plays on the floor and in the way that he behaves off the floor. Now, back to his actual performance last night. He was so good. He got by dudes off the ball. He was running really hard off of screens. I thought that the Pacers did a really good job of balancing him as both kind of a decoy off the ball to keep Lou Dort out of the way, because that dude just wrecks games. but also allowing Haliburton to have the basketball and to make plays. He moved really well last night. Like I said, he was sprinting off of screens. He got downhill. Defensively, he looked pretty good. I love that he only had to play 23 minutes last night. Okay, like that's important for Game 7 and how his calf is going to feel going into that game, because playing 23 minutes on a bum calf, very different than playing 40 minutes on a bum calf. By the way, very good, very efficient 23 minutes, 14 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover. That's a pretty productive 23 minutes. I mean, you're pacing for, 20 and 8 with those kind of numbers. He hit some threes early. He looked awesome last night. The first half, he was so good. He hit 3 threes. He hit a tough left-handed floater. That's a big deal because the Thunder were making him go left. I said it earlier in this series. That dude always goes right. He never wants to go left. If he's dribbling the ball with his left hand, it is to set up that crossover to go back right. And the Thunder were like, we know you want to go right, so we're going to make you go left. And he made them pay. He hit a little pull-up jumper going left. He hit the little left-handed floater with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander draped all over him. He played really well last night. He, I think, exceeded a lot of the expectations that people had for him in terms of his mobility. Richard Jefferson on the broadcast was very surprised at how well he was moving. He was surprised that, there was like a 3-second stretch where Tyrese Haliburton was backpedaling full speed. That's apparently a big deal for Cavs. I don't know enough about Cavs to be able to tell you whether or not that's a big deal. Richard Jefferson thought it was, though. I will, submit to him when it comes to those kinds of opinions. But I was pleased with how Tyrese Haliburton played. And he's got to play like that again on Sunday in order for the Pacers to have a chance. And he's going to have to do it for longer than 23 minutes because the Pacers aren't going to, have a 31-point lead at some point during Game 7. I would bet a lot of money that that's not the case. Can he play like that? Can he move like that for a full, 38 minutes or however long he has to be on the floor? And he has to be great. He has to be. When you look at the history of the NBA, the team with the better player tends to win Game 7. And throughout the course of this series, I don't think there's really a question that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been the best player in this series for the most part, right? He's had a couple duds in there. But Tyrese Haliburton is more than capable of being the best player on the floor. I thought he was the best player on the floor for the Pacers last night. I thought he was the best player on the floor, period. Just with what he did on both ends, passing the basketball, moving to space, hitting threes, being aggressive. When he's that, Pacers can beat anybody on any given night. We've seen it time and time again. And he has to be that aggressive, best version of Tyrese Haliburton that we've seen him be time and time again. Okay, we've seen him do it before, and he's got to do it one more time on a bum calf to pick up one more win against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And if he does it, then how people view him will change for forever. It will. He'll go from, he's a good player, third team All-NBA kind of guy. He doesn't really score a ton, but hey, man, he's unselfish, and he's got a good deep team around him, and he does a really good job of controlling the pace. He'll go from that to, hey, this is a legitimate top 10 player in the NBA. He's the best point guard in the NBA. The conversation around him will change, and I know he doesn't care about that, but selfishly, I do. I do. I would like to lead my conversations with other people about basketball with, the Pacers do have the best point guard in the NBA. And then if they question it, I'll be like, I don't know. He just won a title. He was just the best player on an NBA Finals team. So selfishly, I hope he plays really well. And I think he will. Haliburton's a guy who has risen to the occasion time and time again throughout this playoff run. Before this game or before this series, what was the biggest game of the Pacers playoff run? Game 4 at home against the New York Knicks. And he goes for 32 points, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers. Before this series, that was the biggest game of the Pacers run. And he rose to the occasion in every way, shape, and form. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to go get 32 points, 15 assists, and no turnovers. That's not going to happen in Game 7. I mean, maybe it will. I would be very surprised if it did because this Thunder defense is significantly better than that New York Knicks defense. With that being said, I do think he's going to have a really good game. I do think he's going to be aggressive from the jump. Hopefully he's not over-aggressive, but that's never really been an issue with him. I expect big things from Tyrese Haliburton going into Game 7, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. The show is going to unfold super well. We're talking Pacers Game 6 and Game 7 all day today. For the next hour and 45 minutes, you're getting a lot of opinions from me on everything that happened last night and will happen in Game 7. The unsung hero of the Indiana Pacers. I have listened to so much post-game coverage. I watched Scott Van Pelt last night. They didn't mention this player's name once. I listened to Bill Simmons this morning. Took him forever to bring up this player for the Pacers. And he has time and time again been arguably the most important player on this Pacer team. I'm going to tell you who that is and talk about how good this player was last night when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there. You can tweet at me there too if you want to be part of the show. You can also watch the show on YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. Hop in the chat there. Talk about the show there as well. Now, the unsung hero for the Pacers, it's the same guy every game. He made the highlight of the finals in transition, going up, throwing it down on the one and only Jalen Williams. And I have watched or listened to so much post-game coverage from last night because, the ESPN stats and info people do a really good job of throwing out really cool numbers, and The Ringer does a really good job with all their basketball coverage, and I like hearing other opinions. Last night and this morning, as I listened and watched all these different things, Pascal Siakam was either not discussed at all, ESPN, or he wasn't discussed enough. He was so important for the Pacers early last night. Pacers start 0 of 9 from the field. They looked tight. Shots going short. Miles Turner really wanting to have a big game. I appreciate Miles Turner coming out as aggressively as he did with just this goal of I'm going to the rim and I'm getting my shots up. If we lose tonight, it won't be because I didn't play my game. And then, Miles Turner gets off to a bad start, had a bad game in general, only 1 of 9 from the field offensively. But like Nembhard's missing shots. Haliburton misses a floater and a layup. It's not going good. And I'm sitting on my couch home. I'm like, where's Pascal? Can we please give Pascal Siakam the basketball? And they do. He catches the ball about 16 feet from the bucket, turns over that right shoulder as he likes to do, and he laces a jumper. Pacers make their first field goal of the game. And then he comes back down and he drives to the bucket and he gets fouled and one. Goes to the line, makes the free throw, scores 5 points in a row. After he made those 2 buckets back to back, the Pacers settled down and the floodgates opened immediately. Pacers make their next 4 shots. They're hitting threes. Andrew Nembhard hits back-to-back threes. Getting the lid off the basket in a big game is something that can take some time, especially for younger, more inexperienced teams. I think that's why it's really important to get layups early in big games, or to get the ball to a guy like Pascal Siakam who's played in big games like this before. And the Pacers finally got him the basketball. And as soon as they did, what do you know? The only player for the Pacers with real championship experience made a shot. He looked normal early, and the rest of the Pacers players looked a little overly amped. And so his, 7 points in that first quarter were huge. He finished the night with 16 points, was 6 of 14 from the field. He also had 13 rebounds, 5 of them offensive rebounds. He also had 3 assists and a block, only turned the basketball over once after that weird 6-turnover game in Game 5. Okay, he looked in control of himself from the opening tip. Okay, in the second quarter, he slowed down a bit, 6 points, 4 of them pretty emphatic though, right? He dunks on Jalen Williams and he does that, and the Pacers are up by 20, and I'm at home and I'm like, trying not to wake up my wife because she had already gone to bed. Then he hits a tough fall away at the buzzer, puts him up 22 going into the half. And when he hit that shot to put him up 22 going into the break, Pacers with another 60-point half. That is 2 games in a row now where they've scored 60 points or more in a half. They've, slowly kind of figured out how to score against this elite Thunder defense. He hits that shot. They go up 22. Game feels over. It's like, all right, man, we're going to get a Game 7. And I'm texting people and I'm like, hey, want to come on tomorrow or Monday? And, no one could come on today. Their loss. And he's going to have to be that impactful Sunday night. If the Pacers are going to win Sunday, he's got to be great. And the last time the Pacers played in Oklahoma City, he was great. He was awesome. 28 points. Super efficient, 9 of 15 from the field on his way to getting those 28 points. He can't have those long stretches where you don't realize he's on the floor. He had stretches like that last night, but the Pacers role players were so good, like it didn't really matter. I don't think every Pacer role player is going to be that good in Game 7 like they were in Game 6 last night. It's on the road. Pressure can get to guys. With that being said, pressure for this Pacer team doesn't really seem to be a thing. They just play their game, and they roll with it. It's really impressive to watch them do that. But Pascal Siakam is going to have a moment or a stretch where he's really good in order for the Pacers to pull off the upset. Maybe it looks like what it did last night, where he gets 2 big buckets back-to-back to open the game, to kind of settle the Pacers in offensively, and then to close the first half, he dunks on someone and then hits a tough fall away, right, to narrow the gap or extend the lead going into halftime. He's going to have a moment in Game 7. I think he will, because he is an incredible player who just seems to show up whenever the Pacers need him. Okay, the line opened at 8.5 points for Game 7. I know it got down to 7.5 at one point last night. Not too sure where it's at now, but that's a big spread for a Game 7. By the way, it's the narrowest spread we've had for the Pacers on the road all series. Pascal Siakam is going to have to come up big if they're going to overcome, being 8.5 point underdogs. Even though it's really weird to call them underdogs after seeing them defy the odds time and time again throughout these NBA playoffs. They were underdogs in every game against Cleveland. They've been underdogs every game of this series. They were underdogs against the Knicks. Doesn't matter. Pacers just show up, they play their way, and they beat you. And part of why they beat you is because of the depth. We talked about the depth of this Pacers team all year. I don't think it's a coincidence that the 2 deepest teams in the NBA are left. And throughout this series, whichever team has won the bench points battle has won every game in the series. Pacers won that battle again last night pretty emphatically. Tyrese Haliburton was asked about this bench unit after the game, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, all year we've just preached how important depth is to our success, and I feel like we've really believed in our second group. They've been able to come in and pick up the energy when it's needed, when we're having good games, continue, to keep the energy flowing. Obviously TJ and Obi are kind of the head of that snake, off the bench, and we, still got Shep and Ben, and obviously Jarris is hurt right now, and, TB and Tony Brett. We just got so many different guys that can chip in. And that's the thing about, the NBA and the playoffs, is you never know when your number is going to be called. And we have so many guys that are prepared, for that moment. And I didn't actually know that stat, but that's interesting. I think in the finals, especially in our series right now, all these games are coming down to the margins. That's what's important. Can you win the rebound battle? Can you win the turnover battle? Can you set the tone from a physicality standpoint? Those are all what's been very important through all these games. And I feel like whoever's done that has won the game. So going into Game 7, it's just important for us to control, the controllables, the effort stuff. That's going to be really important.
Tyrese Haliburton right there talking about the bench unit and just their impact. Ridger throwing out an awesome stat. We're going to read it right now. TJ McConnell is the first bench player in NBA history to have 60-plus points, 25-plus assists, and 15-plus rebounds in the NBA Finals. 9 of those rebounds came last night, and the role players, exquisite last night. TJ McConnell was great, as he always is. Obi Toppin was the Pacers' leading scorer with 20 points. And look, first quarter, Miles Turner minutes, brutal. Taking bad shots, just trying to do too much. He finished the game 1 of 9 from the field, and people are going to pile on him, and they're going to talk about how bad he was offensively. You're right, terrible offensively. But I thought his defense was really good. The Pacers sold out. This is my daily defensive Miles Turner. That's what it's turned into at this point. The Pacers clearly sold out to not allow Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to get to the rim. I thought they did a really good job of bottling them up. And from there, who is the third guy for the Oklahoma City Thunder? It's Chet Holmgren. And Miles Turner has limited Chet Holmgren in the biggest in every game in this series. He has been so good at not allowing for Chet Holmgren to score. Like, he has defended him one-on-one much better than I thought he would coming into this series. Chet Holmgren last night, 2 of 9 from the field, only scored 4 points. And I get it. Miles Turner only had 4 rebounds in 26 minutes, and he was 1 of 9 from the field. He didn't make a 3. He was 1 of 2 from the foul line. That's great. But something that I think needs to be stated about Miles Turner, because it's important. You need players like this. His rim protection this series has been good, and he doesn't have to score to impact the game. He has impacted the game on the defensive end of the floor time and time again throughout this series. Now, I wish he would make some jumpers. That would be really nice. But he hasn't in this series, and he hasn't allowed that to impact the way that he is guarded throughout this series. So, yes, Miles Turner offensively last night, not very good, but I thought his defense was more than adequate enough for the Pacers to win that game. Tony Bradley, he played 6 minutes. Those are the best 6 minutes he's played all playoffs. 3 points and 2 offensive rebounds in 6 minutes is not bad. Ben Shepherd coming off the bench, he was hitting shots, defending and rebounding, doing all of the things that Ben Shepherd does. Aaron Nesmith hit a couple threes. He hit that fast break 3 in the right-hand corner early in the game. And when he hit that, it just kind of felt like a major punch to, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Andrew Nembhard, he was great last night as well. Aaron Nesmith also did I think, the best job he's done this series after game 1 of defending Jalen Williams. And then Nembhard, of course, great on both ends as well. I got a lot of stuff on Nembhard coming up here in a moment. It was a great role player night from the Indiana Pacers, and I do this after every Pacer game. Who was the third guy? Because you just expect for Haliburton to be good. You expect for Siakam to be good. Who's that third guy going to be? It's TJ McConnell, once again. And by the way, it's not just the third guy last night. There's a third guy, a fourth guy, and a fifth guy, and I'm going to highlight all 3 of them. So McConnell finished the game last night, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and he was, once again, for the second game in a row, the third best guy for the Pacers. He's had back-to-back great games. He got wherever he wanted on the floor. He was hitting his little funky floater, full jump shot fadeaway from 4 feet away. He did the thing where, he didn't steal an inbound pass in this game, but there's a play where I think Alex Caruso or Cason Wallace, they come down with the rebound, and they go to outlet it to Jalen Williams. And McConnell sees it the whole way. It's like he's Ed Reed playing safety. And he sees it, and he jumps it, and he tips it, and he saves it from going out of bounds. He hits Obi Toppin, who steps in and hits his second 3 in a row. It's like a 6-point swing in 8 seconds. He was the third guy, once again, for the Pacers last night. And it's not because of the steals. It's not because of the buckets. It's because the most important thing that TJ McConnell does when he comes into games for the Pacers is he maintains the pace. He keeps the engine running. That is the biggest thing that he does for them. So even though Obi Toppin had 20 points and was the Pacers' leading scorer last night, TJ McConnell was the third guy because of his impact on defense, his ability to get in the paint whenever he wants, because that's where this Pacers offense starts. He gets into the lane at will. I don't know how he does it, but he does. Like, no one chases him over a screen. Everyone goes under, and he just finds a way to get into the lane and hit his little funky shots, and he passes the ball well. 9 rebounds from him is an incredible number as well. He was awesome last night. And look, he's done it two games in a row now. Done it once in OKC. Like, hopefully we can see him do it again. I hope we do. I love that dude. And fourth guy, Obi Toppin, 20 points last night. He's not the fourth guy, though. The fourth guy last night for the Indiana Pacers was Andrew Nembhard. Both ends of the floor, he was as good as he's been in this series. That was the best game we have seen him play. And when the game started, he had a little hop to his step. Like, you could kind of see that he had something extra, desperation. He comes out, playing good defense. Siakam gets the lid off the basket. Next thing you know, Andrew Nembhard hits back-to-back threes early, and he just settled in really well from that point. After hitting those 2 threes, He gets to the rim on Chet Holmgren, tough left-handed finish, jumping from the right side of the lane to the left, extending the left. Great finish. 8 straight points early for him. That was big. I think it helped kind of kickstart the Pacers from that slow start. He finished the game with 17 points on 5 of 7 shooting. He was 3 of 5 from 3. Hopefully he can keep shooting it well from 3 in Game 7. And he did all that while holding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of the NBA, arguably the not even going to say it because it's not true. One of the best scorers in the NBA, to his lowest scoring total of the NBA Finals and his third lowest scoring total of the entire playoffs. Okay, he did a great job defending him. He also turned the basketball over only once, and that's the biggest thing with him. You know, Tyrese Haliburton, they're playing him off the ball a little bit more, in part because of the calf issue. I think part of it is they don't want Lou Dort involved defensively. You know, like they want Lou Dort away from the basketball as much as possible. And because of that, Andrew Nembhard is going to initiate the offense more. And he has to make good decisions. He did that last night. 1 turnover, 4 assists, 3 steals. He didn't do that in Game 5, and it's part of why they lost. He turned the basketball over too much. He did everything you wanted to see him do last night. And if he does it again in Game 7, Sunday, then the Pacers are going to have a great chance to win the whole thing. When he's good, good luck beating this Indiana Pacer team when Andrew Nembhard is making shots. The 5th guy last night, Obi Toppin, 20 points, 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. He grabbed 6 rebounds as well. He has been the Pacers' most consistent bench player throughout these finals. And he's just been good. You know, even on the nights where he hasn't scored, he's rebounded well, and he has to rebound well because the Pacers are not a good rebounding team. And he's 6'8" or whatever he is, and he's got a 1,000,000-inch vertical. It's impressive. And he did all those things last night. 20 points, 6 boards. He stretched the floor effectively. That really helps this Pacers offense because obviously when you're 5 out, if you get into the lane, it's tougher to come down and double and rake down on the ball. The Thunder, I'm going to start calling it the piranha defense because when you jump in the water with piranhas, based off of every movie I've seen, and movies are always accurate, when you jump into piranha-infested waters, like they just come get you. And when you play against this Thunder defense, as soon as you enter the paint, it's just they come get you immediately, and they're trying to swipe down. So when you have 5 guys on the floor who can shoot, it makes it tougher to do that, and it also makes it easier to make them pay for that, right? It generates open threes, and the Pacers got a lot of them last night. So Obi Toppin being able to play the 5 has been so big for the Pacers in this series and their ability to push it to 7 games. Miles Turner, he struggled a lot offensively in this series. It hasn't really mattered, though, because Obi Toppin has been able to come in off the bench and be impactful, and we saw that happen once again last night. Toppin shot the ball well. He got out and ran. He rebounded. All the things that you want Obi Toppin to do, he did last night in that game, and it was so much fun watching him just kind of run and gun and get up and down the floor. So Obi Toppin is your 5th guy. Andrew Nembhard's your 4th guy, and what a surprise. TJ McConnell was once again the Pacers' 3rd best player, and hopefully it goes that way again in Game 7. Speaking of Game 7, we're going to start looking ahead a little bit to Sunday. Okay, there's been multiple themes throughout this series. Bench scoring has been one of them. We just kind of hit on that. There's another one, though, that I would argue is even more important than the bench scoring numbers. I'm going to tell you what that is when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X__ Jonathan Smith. If you want to watch there, follow me there. You can send me tweets and stuff throughout the show if you've got opinions on things that I say. You can also listen to the show via that Indy Sports Ticket app, wherever you download your apps. And, of course, you can also listen on 1430 AM. Now, bench points, been a really important part of this Pacers and Thunder series. The other thing, though, that's been more important is that turnover number. In game one, the Pacers won, despite turning the basketball over 25 times and only forcing 7 turnovers. They won that game, though, because they only gave up 11 points off those turnovers. The transition defense was really good from the Pacers. That's why they won. They had no business winning that game, though. Game 2, the Pacers lost the turnover battle 15-14. And the Pacers lost that game because they didn't rebound well enough. Okay? But, it happens sometimes. The Thunder half-court defense was exceptional in that game as well. Game 3, the Pacers won because they won the turnover battle. The Thunder turned the ball over 19 times. Pacers only turned the basketball over 14 times in Game 3. It's the second best game they've played in this series behind Game 6. Okay, Game 4, Pacers could have won. Both teams turned the basketball over 16 times, but the Pacers got out-rebounded by 10, and they played too much one-on-one basketball down the stretch. That is simply not going to work against a defense of this caliber. The offense sputtered, and they lost because of it. Game 5, they turned the ball over too much. 23 turnovers, way too many. Thunder only turned it over 11 times, and the Thunder cruised because of that. Pacers lost handily. Then last night, the Pacers won the turnover battle again, and they won easily. Very easily. Here's Pascal Siakam after the game talking about how they were able to flip the numbers on the turnover battle.
But no, I just thought we were just, again, at least a little bit stronger with the ball. Obviously, we're not a team that really turns the ball over, but when you play against a defense like they do, like they really disrupt you. So I think it's just the key is just to, 2 hands on the ball, like the most basic stuff. Just make the pass, the easy pass usually, and not try to complicate it. And I think that's the most important.
Pascal Siakam right there talking about, just the basic things. When you grab a rebound, keep the ball over your head. When you have the ball in the lane, 2 hands on it. Let's go, the basics. And that game was over at halftime last night. And it's not because the Pacers made a bunch of shots. Like, obviously, it is. But the biggest thing was at halftime, the Pacers had turned the ball over twice, and the Thunder had already turned the ball over 12 times. Pacers were up 64-42. That turnover stat has been the series. When the Pacers have made good decisions with the basketball, they have given themselves an opportunity to win. And in games where they don't, game 1 excluded, they haven't really had much of a chance. I used to be a pretty good ping pong player. Like when I was in high school and college, like I play against my teammates. I never lost, and that is not hyperbole. Literally, never lost. And I'll never forget, I play against one of my friends. His name was James Tucker. Love James. Shout out. He's not listening, but shout out James Tucker. And whenever we'd play, if he made any sort of mistake, if he hit the ball out, if he, lobbed one up, whatever, every time he made a mistake, he would say the exact same thing. He would say this out loud, and I don't know why he would. He was really hyping me up for no reason. He would just look at me and say, you can't make mistakes against people that are better than you. And it's very true. And every time the Pacers turn the ball over in this series, I make the exact same comment in my mind. You can't make mistakes against people and teams that are better than you. And that has been the story of this series, that the Pacers don't turn the ball over in Game 7. If they don't give the Thunder free possessions and free layups in transition, then they're going to have an excellent chance to win the game. I really believe that it is that simple because they've been better than the Thunder in a lot of areas. Like the Thunder's half-court defense is better than the Pacers, but the Pacers' half-court offense has been better than the Thunder's throughout this series. The Thunder's half-court offense in this series has been pitiful. It's been bad. And there's multiple reasons for that. part of that is the Pacers' half-court defense has been really good. And the other part of it is how the Thunder run their offense. They don't really run an offense. They say, hey, Jalen Williams, or hey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, here's the basketball. Go figure it out for us. The ball doesn't move. And I think that's part of why the Thunder role players haven't really shot the ball very well. The Thunder had 14 assists last night. 14. 4 of them were by A.J. Mitchell, a guy who played when the game was over. Listen to the starter stat lines for assists last night. Chet Holmgren, 0. Jalen Williams, 1. Isaiah Hartenstein, 1. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 2. Lou Dort, 0. The Thunder starters had combined for 4 assists last night. Tyrese Haliburton alone had 5. Andrew Nembhard alone had 4. Okay, TJ McConnell had 6. They don't move the basketball. And they don't move this Pacer defense, and that makes you a little bit easier to defend. All right? And when you don't move the ball, players don't have rhythm. I'll never forget, I am not a fan of NBA player podcasts. I think they're all terrible, except for Jeff Teague's. His is pretty good. I don't mind LeBron's either when they actually talk about basketball. Anyway, I'll never forget listening to PJ Tucker talk about playing with James Harden on the Rockets. And he talked about how someone asked him, they say, hey, PJ, how come every time someone shoots a free throw, you run in and you grab the ball? And he gave this very long answer, which he could have given a little quicker. And he was basically just like, because whenever you play with James Harden and you played on those Rockets teams, you would go like 7 minutes without ever touching the basketball. He's like you forget what it feels like. And I think that's a large part of why we've seen this Oklahoma City Thunder team really struggle to shoot the ball on some nights. Like they don't have any rhythm because they aren't touching the basketball. Like the Thunder shot 27% from 3 last night. It is the most misleading stat in that box score by far. They started 1 of 16 from 3. They were 1 of 11 from 3 at halftime. They made all the threes in the fourth quarter when the game was over. I mean, seriously, like when you run through the guys that made threes, Isaiah Joe made 2. He didn't really start playing until the game was over. Ousmane Dieng hit a 3. Kenrich Williams hit a 3. Jalen Williams, the other one, the one that played at Arkansas, go Hogs, he hit 2. It was all the guys that came in when the game was over that started lacing threes. It's the most misleading stat in that box score. And I think it's because the role players for the Thunder don't really get to touch the basketball. The Pacers know this, and they made the players not named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams beat them, and they couldn't last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 21 points on 15 shots, 2 assists. Jalen Williams had 16 points on 13 shots. Isaiah Hartenstein had 10 points, and no one else for the Thunder scored in double figures that played real minutes that mattered. The Thunder's role players do not scare me. When Lou Dort shoots it, I never expect for it to go in, even though he's like a 40% three-point shooter. When Chet Holmgren shoots it, I don't think it's going to go in. I don't expect Alex Caruso to make shots when he pulls them from 3. Cason Wallace, not really. Aaron Wiggins, not really. Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are the only 2 players on the Oklahoma City Thunder offense that I actually expect to make shots. It seemed like the Pacers felt the same way. They fully committed to stopping Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander turned the basketball over 8 times last night. That tied a career high for him. The Pacers swarmed him. When he posted up, it was a hard double. They fully committed to doubling Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he turned the ball over. There have been times in the series where they've shown him like a soft double team, where guys are really trying to play 2, and that doesn't really work. Not last night. He get to the left to the left-hand side of the floor, and as he would start to back his way in, Miles Turner or Andrew Nembhard or whoever would run over from the backside, and they would double him. It was a hard double. When he got into the lane, that Pacers defense did what the Thunder defense normally does. They collapsed on him quickly. They treated Jalen Williams in a pretty similar manner, right? He doesn't post up. So, they didn't really double him. But when he got into the paint, Pacer players were coming to help, and it impacted him, right? 6 of 13 from the field. He only took 4 foul shots. It's the worst game he's played since game 1. And I kind of expect for the Pacers to do the same thing on Sunday. If it becomes a role player game, I like the Pacers. The Pacers role players, I think, have been consistently better over the course of the series. Sure, Aaron Wiggins had a game where he hit a bunch of threes. Lou Dort has had 2 games where he's made like 4 or 5 threes. Alex Caruso has had 2 games where he scored 20. Right? It's either really big highs from the Thunder role players or it's really low lows. There is no in between. From the start to the current state, 6 games into the NBA Finals, the Pacer role players have been better. They have been. It's a fact. TJ McConnell has impacted multiple games. Obi Toppin has been impactful in every game. Aaron Nesmith, he's been a little more up and down, but he's had, 3 games now where he's shot the ball really well from 3. We can just keep running through all of them. Pacers role players, I think, are better than the Thunders. And if Sunday becomes a game defined by the role players, then give me the Pacers every single time. When we come back here in about 4 minutes, I'm going to tell you why the Pacer role players have been more impactful than the Thunders and why I'm pretty comfortable if Game 7 winds up being a game about the other guys when we come back here in about 4.5 minutes.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show as I continue to get you ready for Game 7 Sunday between your Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. What a game last night. Pacers just coming out, going up by 22 at the end of the first half, putting up 64 points, another 60-point half against this elite Oklahoma City Thunder defense. And the reason why they were able to put up so many points last night is because they only turned the ball over twice in the first half. You just got to get shots up against this team. Like the Thunder defense is built on turning you over. That is what they want to do. Okay? They are hyper aggressive. And when teams are hyper aggressive and they don't turn you over, you are then susceptible to giving up open shots. And that's what's happened. And when the Pacers have avoided turning the ball over, they have scored pretty consistently. The Pacers' half-court offense throughout this series has been better than the Thunder's. They've lost games simply because they've taken less shots than their opponent. It's tough to win when your opponent takes 12 more shots than you do. And that all comes back to turnovers, which is going to be talked about repeatedly until Game 7. Okay, the Pacers, however, I think, have generated easier shots than the Thunder have throughout this series in the half court. When the ball is moving, this Pacers offense is dang near unstoppable, even against this elite of a defense. Because guess what? Good offense beats good defense every single time. So we saw it last night. The Pacers consistently broke the paint. And if you can consistently break the paint against any defense, the Thunder defense, the Raptor defense, the awful Wizards defense. Actually, that's not fair. Let me back up. The awful Hornets defense. If you do that, then you are going to score points. You're going to get layups, and if the defense collapses, then you're going to create open three-point looks. Saw last night, the Indiana Pacers consistently broke the paint. And when they did, they scored turnovers and paint touches. Those are the two things that will decide Game 7 for the Indiana Pacers. Can they avoid turnovers, and can they break the paint? If the turnover number is low, like if it's under 12, I love the Pacers. If you told me right now, Jonathan, the Pacers are only going to turn the ball over 11 times in Game 7, I would bet them on the money line immediately. That is the number for them. Okay? Those have been the two most important things, turnovers and breaking the paint. They're a better shooting team than the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their role players are better than the Thunders on both ends of the floor. Like when you look at the Thunder role players, they're all defensive guys. Lou Dort is a defensive player. Kenrich Williams, defender. Alex Caruso, known for his defense. Isaiah Joe, I guess he is a shooter. Aaron Wiggins, known for his defense. Cason Wallace, known for his defense. Isaiah Hardenstein, known for his defense and passing. Like, their role players aren't wired to score in a similar manner that the Indiana Pacers are. The Pacer role players are legitimate two-way dudes. Almost every role player for the Pacers has the ability to swing a game with their shot making. Okay, we've seen Obi Toppin knock down tough threes time and time again throughout the playoffs and even in this series. Plus, his ability to get out and run on the break and finish in transition has been a big part of this Pacers team as well. And he's a pretty decent defender. You know, when he's been out there on that island having to defend Chet Holmgren throughout the series, he's done a pretty good job of it. Aaron Nesmith, more of a defender, I think, than an offensive player, but his ability to catch and shoot is better than every one of the Thunder role players' abilities to catch and shoot. His ability to take one dribble and get a shot off is better than every role player of the Oklahoma City Thunders. And his ability to elevate at the rim and finish over people, better than every role player of the Oklahoma City Thunders. Miles Turner, I get it. He's having a bad series. But I'd rather Miles Turner take a shot than Lou Dort or Alex Caruso or whoever else. Miles Turner can also kind of post up on the block and finish over smaller players. Sometimes, not in this series, but sometimes he can. Andrew Nembhard, just a playoff riser in every sense of the word. A dude who just shows up in the biggest spots. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather Andrew Nembhard take a big shot or Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, or Cason Wallace? I think you're going to take Andrew Nembhard. And then you look at McConnell. I don't even have to get into him. Come on, man. Just doing everything on the offensive end of the floor. Really good. Mathurin didn't play great last night. Only played 14 minutes, 1 of 6. I would still rather him take a shot late in a big game than Caruso or any of the other Thunder role players. And all those guys I just listed are good defenders as well. Once again, if Game 7 winds up being a role player game where, like, let's say Siakam, Haliburton, Williams, and SGA are all great, and it comes down to role players, give me the Pacers every single time. Every time. Because the Thunder role players, I don't think, have the offensive ability to swing a game like the Pacer role players do. The Pacers can break the paint and not turn the ball over, then they're going to get better shots than the Thunder. It's that simple. We've seen it throughout the entire series. And that'll give them an opportunity to win the NBA Finals for the first time in their franchise's history. I can't wait. Sunday is going to be awesome. And part of why it's going to be so great is because no one gave them a chance before this series started. They didn't. Plus 800, or excuse me, plus 500, whatever it was, to win the series. One of the biggest underdogs we've seen in the history of the NBA Finals. And they just kept coming. They just kept going over and over and over again. Like, oh, we're a 4 seed. Oh, you guys think that Giannis is going to beat us? Oh, absolutely not. That Bucks team isn't good enough. And then it's, oh, Cleveland, huh? We're going to be underdogs in every single one of these games? Yeah, well, we're just going to win the series in 5 games and make a real statement that we are here. Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks, it's Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and on and on and on. Mitchell Robinson makes this team so much better. Yeah, Pacers in 6. They are resilient. They are tough. And they've gotten better as the year has gone on. They to start 10-15 and now be where they're at is incredible. Part of that is because they were a little banged up to start the season still. Tyrese Haliburton got better as the year went on. He has improved as a defender. I love the way that this Pacers team has developed throughout the course of the season. And now it's one game to decide whether or not they are NBA champions, the basketball champions of the world. Sunday is going to be cinema. Here is Coach Carlisle last night talking about Game 7. His press conference was so funny because they kept asking him questions about Game 6, and he wouldn't talk about it. He was like, Game 7. This is what we're talking about because this is the next thing. Here's Coach Carlisle talking about a Game 7.
One game. I mean, this is what it's all about. I mean, this is what you dream about growing up, this kind of opportunity. It's a very difficult place to play. We know that. But, this is the opportunity to play in a game like this is a great honor and a great privilege.
Great honor and a great privilege, Coach Carlisle right there. And he's right. Like, this is what you work for. You're out in the backyard when you're 8, 5, 4, 3. If Jonathan Smith hits this, then the fill-in-the-blank team, they're the national champions, the NBA champions, 3, 2, 1. And then, of course, I never missed in the driveway growing up. Best driveway shooter ever right here. So there was no, the clock slows down, let me reset this thing. No. One try. That's all I needed. But, you practice that situation from the time that you're little. And now to actually be in it, like Coach Carlisle said, it's a huge honor. It's a huge privilege. And this Pacers team is just filled with risers. It's filled with guys that show up in the biggest moments and aren't scared in any way, shape, or form. And I can't wait to watch this game on Sunday. And there are going to be narratives leading up to this game. A lot of them are dumb. They are. There's going to be legacy talk. What does this mean for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's legacy if they blow a 3-2 series lead in the NBA Finals against another really good basketball team? What does this mean for Tyrese Haliburton's legacy, even though he's only 25 years old? He's going to be in the league for another decade. What does it all mean? I don't know. I don't care. I just want to see the Pacers win. That's really all I care about. Tyrese Haliburton is in the same boat as I am. Here he is after the game talking about Game 7, and he talked a little bit about the narratives that he knows are going to pop up over the next 2 days.
Just not trying to look at it from like a big picture thing, not trying to look at it in that way necessarily. Like, we got one game. It's nothing that's happened before matters, and nothing that's going to happen after matters. It's all about that one game. So just trying to approach it the right way, for the next couple days there. It's going to be, the narratives are going to be almost poison, to talk about what this would mean to our city and our organization and legacy talk. And we played so well, and now the pressure's on it. Like, it's going to, what I mean? There's going to be, narratives that we can't really pay attention to. We got to control what we can. So much of these games has come down to, who's going to start the fight from a physicality standpoint and, take care of the ball better, rebound the ball better. Those are the important things that we need to focus on. So, I don't even want to say like, celebrate this one tonight, move on. Like, it's done with. We did our job to take care of home court, and we got to be ready to compete in Game 7.
It's done with. Let's move on. Love it. Let's go. But I do want to bring up one thing that he said. He talked a little bit about the narratives, right? And how they're like poison. And I think that's good, right? And he's not wrong, even though I do think that there's some truth to some narratives. That's kind of how they get started. But either way, I do think Haliburton's right for the most part. But someone's going to say this next sentence that I'm about to say here in a second. And if you hear someone say this, turn them off, mute them, never listen to them again. Anyone who thinks there's no pressure on the Pacers, oh, they played so well, all the pressure's on the Thunder. No. It's Game 7. There's pressure on everybody. There's pressure on every single person. Like the fans sitting in that building. There's so much pressure in that Game 7 that it's going to seep out from the players and impact the fans in the stadium. You're going to be able to feel the pressure of the moment while you're sitting on your couch in Carmel or Greenwood or wherever you live. Fishers, Indy, wherever. You're going to feel it. There's an immense amount of pressure on both the Thunder, because they're obviously trying not to blow a 3-2 lead, and they're obviously trying to win the NBA Finals. But there's also pressure on the Indiana Pacers because they're trying to win the NBA Finals. If I know it's coming. I know someone's going to say that stupid sentence. Oh, there's no pressure on the Pacers. All the pressure is on the Thunder. Whatever, man. There's pressure on everybody in this game. Ridger asking a question in the YouTube chat, Indie Sports Ticket. Head over there, subscribe, hop in the chat. He said, Jonathan, if you could give maturity a point value, how many points advantage would you give the Pacers? 0. I think both of these teams are incredibly mature. I don't know if you watch the press conferences or not. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the most business as usual guy you will ever see in a press conference. Mark Dagnall is as business as usual guy as you will ever see in a press conference, so on and so forth. Jalen Williams is the same way. I know some people don't like the way that Chet Holmgren dresses, but like that, he's pretty mature. Okay. Like this is a, pretty mature team on both sides of the floor. Now, if you wanted to say experience, if experience had a point value, I would give the Pacers a slight edge just because neither team, let me back up. Both teams have a guy who's won an NBA Finals. For the Thunder, that guy is Alex Caruso. For the Pacers, that guy is obviously Pascal Siakam. I know Thomas Bryant won one as well, but he's not playing. If he plays Sunday, that means that the Pacers either got crushed or they won by a lot. For the Pacers, I do think that's an advantage because I just think there's a difference to having a star with legitimate experience versus having a role player. Because a role player isn't going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He's just going to kind of have to speak to kind of relay the experience. Whereas Siakam, they're going to give him the basketball, and he's going to feel as close to normal as you can during a Game 7 of the NBA Finals because he's won an elimination game before. Like he's done it with the ball in his hands quite a bit. He was the second option on that Toronto Raptors team. He played great in that game 6 against the Warriors, 28 points on like 9 of 10 of 17 shooting from the floor. So it's a little bit different. Obviously, the head coaching experience is vastly different in this game as well. Coach Carlisle, a guy who has won a closeout game on the road, game 6, Dallas versus Miami. The Mavericks won that game on the road. They won that game in Miami. So, like, Coach Carlisle has been in these spots before. Obviously, Coach Mark Dagnall has never coached in the NBA Finals until this season. So, I do think that there is a slight advantage for the Indiana Pacers in terms of the experience factor. But in terms of maturity, I think both of these teams are very mature. You don't get to this point unless you're mature. Like, it doesn't happen. Like, you have to have mature guys who are about winning and don't get in the way of winning. You don't. Like, one of the most impressive things to me about LeBron James and his career was his ability to kind of bring guys along that had a history of getting in the way of winning. That's one of the really impressive things about Michael Jordan, being able to bring in a guy like Dennis Rodman. Same goes for Isaiah Thomas. You know, his ability to bring in a guy like Rodman and not allow his off the court antics to get in the way of winning. Like, you don't play in the NBA Finals, you don't play in the Super Bowl, you don't play for the Stanley Cup or in the World Series unless you are a very mature team. So, maturity wise, I don't think I'd give out points one way or the other, but experience, I most definitely would. Great game last night from the Pacers, forcing a game 7, and it all comes back to one thing for me from last night's game, and it's not the turnovers, it's not the bench points, it's something else entirely that I talked about a little bit yesterday. I'll tell you what it is when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket Game 7. Can we just fast forward to Sunday? Like, I have plans. I'm going to hand out some L's and some pickleball tonight. I'm going to hand out L's and pickleball tomorrow morning, but I don't really want to do that. I just want to fast forward 8 o'clock tomorrow night, sit on the couch. Not tomorrow night, excuse me. Sunday night, sit on the couch and watch this game unfold. It's going to be amazing. Both teams full tilt from start to finish. And part of why last night's game wasn't great is because you can't really fake being desperate. And that is not going to be the case in Game 7. Game 7, both teams know, like, this is winner take all. Both teams diving on the floor, confrontations at the rim time and time again. You know, every lazy pass is going to be a mistake in that game because the Pacers and the Thunder are the best teams in the NBA at taking advantage of lazy mistakes. If you do anything lazily in Game 7, the ball's going the other way and you're giving up a basket. That's the reality of it. And we saw it last night. You know, I talked about the importance of being desperate yesterday. When you're on the brink of elimination, you play with a little bit extra. And you know you've got a Game 7 at home in your back pocket. Right? Like, when you know that you have a Game 7 at home in your back pocket, you just don't play as hard. Whereas the Pacers knew if they lost last night, they were done. We see this happen in playoff series all the time in the NBA. Pacers-Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pacers, crush them in Game 4. Come back Game 5 on the road in New York. Pascal, they lose. They get beaten pretty badly. Pascal Siakam goes to the podium and says it very plainly. The Knicks played harder. It happens in the playoffs, and it does. It never happens on purpose. But when your back is against the wall, like, you're going to play harder. Like, for you, like, if you knew that your company was making cuts and that you might get fired or laid off, unless you were, the best in your group or cluster or whatever, then you're probably going to work just like a little bit harder because you don't want to get laid off. It's the exact same thing for these guys in the NBA playoffs. And when you have a great team like the Pacers, they're going to be tough to beat when they're fighting for their NBA title lives. In Game 7, you're going to have that from both sides. You're going to have this Oklahoma City team that has been great from start to finish all year. You're going to have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP of the league. Lou Dort, one of the toughest dudes, one of the hardest playing dudes in the league. And Alex Caruso falls in that same boat. You're going to have all these Thunder players, full tilt boogie, going at it from start to finish. And it's the same thing with the Pacers. We saw what that looked like last night. You saw a great team last night trying to remain in the fight just a little bit longer with the chance to win the title. And we're going to see the same thing in Game 7 from both sides. Full tilt, going as strong as possible from start to finish. Because if you win, you get to hoist a trophy. If you lose, you go home empty-handed. And you know that you may never get back. All right? So last night, we saw the Pacers play with that little extra intensity. We saw them play with that extra little bit of focus. And that's really what I thought was more impactful, was just the slight extra focus that they played with. There was just a little extra oomph to everything that happened for the Pacers, right? They were the first of the floor for every loose ball. Every lazy Thunder pass was a deflection or a steal. Every ball that the Pacers could save from going out of bounds that would give them an extra possession, we saw them save. Every 50-50 rebound the Pacers got. And you could see it from the opening tip. You could, right? And it's like, well, Jonathan, they started 0 of 9 from the field. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's because they were playing too hard. Sometimes you can want something so badly that it results in you playing worse because you press and you think about it and all that kind of stuff. Right? I dealt with that throughout my baseball career. I'll never forget my sophomore year competing, thinking that I had an opportunity to potentially earn a starting job, and I was really bad that fall. I was bad because I was just pressing. I was trying to do way too much. And you saw that from some Pacer players last night, mainly Miles Turner. But once Pascal Siakam got a couple buckets, you could see everyone else settle down. They started making some shots. They were playing a little more under control. And the defensive intensity never wavered. They were in passing lanes all night, start to finish. They won the turnover battle easily, and that has defined every game, and it is going to define Game 7. Once again, the Stars will also define Game 7. Tyrese Haliburton last night was good. You could tell he was okay early. I thought he would play. I thought he would be fine because he played the entire second half after hurting the calf in Game 5. And what was really impressive is just the aggressiveness with which he played. He took a layup and a floater in the first 3 minutes. He missed both, but that's not the point. The point is he got to the basket. He got into the lane, and he was looking to get to the rim. Okay, he was aggressive, looking for his shot, and he was moving really well from start to finish. He was asked after the game last night about his decision to play. Here's what he had to say.
I just look at it as, I want to be out there to compete with my brothers. These are guys that I'm willing to go to war with. And we've had such a special year, and we have a special bond as a group. And, I think I beat myself up if I didn't give it a chance, I just wanted to be out there and fight, and just had to have an honest conversation with coach that, if I didn't look like myself and, was hurting the team, like, sit me down. Like, that's obviously I want to be on the floor, but I want to win, more than anything. So I just had to have an honest conversation with coach. But yeah, I want to be on the floor. And if I have the ability to, if I can, like I said, if I can walk, then I want to be out there. So, I just want to be out there with my brothers to compete. And those guys have my back, and, I feel like I have theirs at the same time. So, that was important for me.
Tyrese Haliburton right there talking about the decision to play last night. And he's right. Like, anytime there's a big game and you don't get to play, it just eats at you. Whether you're hurt, healthy, whatever. And thankfully, he was able to play last night, and he was able to play really well. He got by players off the ball. He didn't look bothered by really any of his movements. Like, off the ball, like, he was running around screens pretty hard. Defensively, he looked good. Like, he had a couple steals last night. He's played the passing lanes really well throughout these playoffs. It's been impressive to watch him do it. It's hard to be taken advantage of defensively if you're deflecting the ball away every time they make a pass to the guy that you're defending. We've seen him do that time and time again throughout these playoffs. And I think the fact that he only had to play 23 minutes last night, like, that bodes very well for the Pacers and what they want to do going forward. Game 7, like, that calf probably feels better today than it would have if he'd played 37 minutes last night. And it was a really good 23 minutes, 14 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, only 1 turnover. That's a very productive 23 minutes. Like, if he gets to his normal 38 minutes, like, he's probably hovering somewhere around 20 points and 10 assists. And when he gets to that number, the Pacers don't lose. And in the first half, from the jump, he was so good. He hit 3 threes. He had a tough left-handed floater. That's a big deal because the Thunder were making him go left. I said it earlier in the series. He doesn't want to go right. Or excuse me, he only wants to go right. He never wants to go left. He can go left. The game-winning layup he hit over Pascal Siakam, he went left and he finished with his left hand over a 7-footer, all that kind of stuff. So, like, he can go left. He hit the the left-handed floater, tough shot. He can. He just doesn't want to. He wants to tween or go between his legs to get to his left hand, and he wants to cross it back over and get to his right. And when the Thunder made him go left, he made them pay. Was very pleased with how he played, and he's got to play like that on Sunday for them to have a chance. Okay, the Pacers aren't going to have a 31-point lead game. A 31-point lead at some point during the game on Sunday. Like, they're not. I would bet a lot of money that they don't go up by 31. I'd bet a lot of money that they don't go up by 20. Okay, he's going to have to play more than 23 minutes on Sunday. So can he sustain the level of play that he played at on Sunday or last night for a full 38 minutes, 40 minutes, however long he plays? Because he's going to have to. He's going to have to play at a pretty similar level on Sunday for the Pacers to win that game. Because when you look at the history of the NBA Finals and when you look at Game 7s, who wins Game 7s? The team with the better player. It's the answer. Tyrese Haliburton is capable of being the best player on the floor. And he's going to have to play like that on the road in Oklahoma City for the Pacers to have a chance. And we've seen him do it. Like, my favorite thing about Tyrese Haliburton, it's not the playmaking. It's not the fact that he is an elite shooter off the bounce and off the catch. It's his ability to rise up in the biggest moments. Before this series, the biggest game of the Pacers' run to the NBA Finals was Game 4 against the Knicks. They're up 2-1. They have an opportunity to take a commanding 3-1 lead. And what happened? Tyrese Haliburton, 32 points, 15 assists, 0 turnovers. I don't think he's going to be that good on Sunday. But if he is, then give the Pacers a W. But he has this incredible ability to raise his game in the biggest moments. And I have an incredible amount of confidence in him to do that going into this game. With that being said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to raise his level too. He was great in that Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets earlier in these playoffs. Now, part of why is because Aaron Gordon didn't play. That is obviously a very important thing. The Pacers, pretty healthy going into this game tonight. And, they crushed the Thunder they crushed the Nuggets in that Game 7. Like I said, though, Aaron Gordon hurt. The Nuggets just aren't really the same team. So both teams are going to be going at it all night. And I can't wait for Sunday. I think it's going to be great. And I think we're going to get a really good performance from Tyrese Haliburton once again. We're also going to get a good performance from Pascal Siakam, the guy that for some reason no one talks about enough. He's going to be really good in Game 7. The question is going to be the role players. Can the role players pull their weight like they did in Game 6? My thoughts on the Pacer role players and Pascal Siakam when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe watch it on X__Jonathan Smith if you want to follow me there. Comment, tweet at me, let me know what's going on. Let me know who you got. Sunday night, Game 7. Can't wait for it. The Pacer role players are going to have to be good. Because when you look at the 6 games of these NBA Finals, the team who is bench has scored more points than the opponent's team's bench has won every game in this series. Tyrese Haliburton was told that stat last night and then was asked about his thoughts just on their bench throughout the season. And here's what Tyrese Haliburton had to say.
Yeah, I mean, all year we've just preached how important depth is to our success, and I feel like we've really believed in our second group. They've been able to come in and pick up the energy when it's needed, when we're having good games. Continue, to keep the energy flowing. Obviously TJ and Obi are kind of the head of that snake, off the bench, and we still got Shep and Ben, and obviously Jarris is hurt right now, and TB and Tony Brett. We've got so many different guys that can chip in, and that's the thing about the NBA and the playoffs is you never know when your number is going to be called, and we have so many guys that are prepared for that moment. And I didn't actually know that stat, but that's interesting. I think in the finals, especially in our series right now, all these games are coming down to the margins. That's what's important. Can you win the rebound battle? Can you win the turnover battle? Can you set the tone from a physicality standpoint? Those are all what's been very important through all these games. And I feel like whoever's done that has won the game. So going into Game 7, it's just important for us to control, the controllables, the effort stuff. That's going to be really important.
Tyrese Haliburton talking about the Pacers bench and just how important they've been in this series. And the role players for the Pacers last night were nothing short of exquisite. TJ McConnell was great. Obi Toppin was the Pacers' leading scorer. He had 20. Miles Turner, here comes the daily part of the show where I defend Miles Turner. He was only 1 of 9 from the field, and his offense was brutal. I thought that he was just over-aggressive to start. He was dribbling into bad spots, taking some really tough shots. It wasn't good. But his defense was, look, the Thunder have made it pretty clear that they're going to run their offense through Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the Pacers did an excellent job last night of shutting that water off. And when they can't get it going, Chet Holmgren's that next dude. He has not been good in this series, and it's been because of the defense that Miles Turner has played on him. Simple as that. And last night was no different. Miles Turner was plus 19 last night, despite only scoring 3 points. His plus-minus was better than Pascal Siakam's, believe it or not. Incredible from him. Just the defense that he has played throughout this series. He held Chet Holmgren to a measly 4 points on 2 of 9 shooting last night. Like, I get it. The offense from Miles Turner in the series has not been good, but he has not allowed that to impact the way that he has defended, and that has been a large part of the Pacers and their ability to tie this series up at 3 games apiece. Tony Bradley, his 6 minutes, the 6 minutes he played were the best 6 minutes I've seen him play all year, or in this series. 3 points, 2 offensive rebounds. We'll take it. Ben Shepherd, he came off the bench and just did all the Ben Shepherd things. He had shots. The 3 he hit to close the first quarter, third quarter, whichever one it was kind of insane. Defended well, rebounded, just did all the things that that Ben Shepherd's going to do whenever he plays. Andrew Nembhard was great last night as well. It was just an all-around great role player night from the Indiana Pacers. TJ McConnell, another night where he just injects life and energy into this team. He finished the game with 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals, and he was once again the third guy for the Pacers. Back-to-back great games. He got wherever he wanted on the floor. He was hitting his little funky floaters and fadeaways. He didn't steal an inbound pass last night, but he stole an outlet pass. Close enough for me. They're looking for Jalen Williams, the Thunder are, to push it up the floor after, I think Obi Toppin hit a 3 And then they inbounded the ball to Cason Wallace, and then he looks to make this like across the court pass to Jalen Williams, and TJ McConnell's right there. He's like, oh, thank you. And then he gives it to Obi Toppin, and then he hits another three. Just doing things that only TJ McConnell can do. And while that was cool, the biggest thing that he does is he keeps the pace. The pace actually went up again when he came into the game. That is the biggest thing that he does. When the game slows down, that is in the Thunder's best interest. But when TJ McConnell comes into the game, his ability to maintain the pace has been huge throughout the series, especially in, these last two games, because he's been good in the Pacers' last two games. Okay, and he was awesome again last night. 9 rebounds is an incredible stat. I think that points to the desperation, especially for a guy like TJ McConnell, who's 33 years old, been in the league for a decade now, his first opportunity in the finals. And anything about that dude, he's going to play hard. And then you throw in the fact that it's win or go home, back against the wall. Really watch out for TJ McConnell in those spots. He was once again excellent last night. Even though Obi Toppin had 20 points and was the Pacers' leading scorer, he's not the fourth guy. That's right. We're doing a fourth guy today. That's how good the Pacer role players were. That we got a third guy, a fourth guy, and a fifth guy. And the fourth guy was Andrew Nembhard because of what he did on both ends of the floor. He played his best game of the series last night. Okay, there's a little hop in his step from the start. You could tell there was a little extra swagger to everything that he was doing. He hit back-to-back threes early, got a layup right after it, a quick 8 points. That was big for him, and he really settled in from that point, and it kind of helped kickstart the rest of this Pacers offense. Like Siakam, his back-to-back buckets early were big to I think kind of settle everyone in, and then Nembhard did that 8 straight, and from that point forward, the Pacers were like, you know what we're not going to do anymore? Miss. Seriously. And Nembhard didn't miss much. 5 of 7, 17 points, 3 of 5 from 3. Didn't miss a 2-point shot. Got fouled a couple times, got to the line. And he did all that while holding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to his lowest point total of the NBA Finals. Oh, and by the way, he also had 3 steals. The biggest thing, though, that he did was he didn't turn the basketball over. He had one turnover. That's all he had. And that is the biggest thing with him. Since Tyrese Haliburton has the calf issue going on, and because the Thunder are putting Lou Dort on Tyrese Haliburton, there's so much more responsibility for Andrew Nembhard. And he's fine. Like, he's going to initiate the offense more, and he has to make good decisions. He didn't do that in Game 5. That's part of why the Pacers lost that game. Cut it down to within 2, and then he turns the ball over twice, and then the Thunder never look back. Last night, he made really good decisions with the basketball. He had 4 assists, 1 turnover. 1 to 4 is great for him. 3 steals as well. He did everything that you wanted to see him do last night. And if he does it again in Game 7, if he makes shots, man, the Pacer offense just goes to a different level when Andrew Nembhard starts making shots. It just does. So if he makes shots in Game 7, then the Pacers they're going to have a real chance to win that game. The fifth guy, Obi Toppin, 20 points, 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. He grabbed 6 rebounds as well. He was so good. He has to help lift the Pacers' rebounding efforts, and he should because he is an elite athlete and he's a big dude. And he's done that throughout the series. He's also stretched the floor, which has been really big because, I'm going to defend Miles Turner probably for the rest of my life. Actually, probably not. But Miles Turner's really struggled offensively in this series. And because of that, Obi Toppin has had to play more minutes. And when you can space the floor against this Thunder team, and it just makes it harder for them to run this piranha defense where as soon as you enter the paint, they just swarm you, pretty similar to once you enter the water, piranhas swarm you. It makes it tougher for the Thunder to force turnovers in that manner. And so with him being on the floor, his ability to space, the fact that he hit 4 threes last night was big. We saw it in Game 1 where he shot 5 of 8 from 3. You can't ask him to do much more than what he did last night. He shot it well. He got out and ran. He finished at the rim, and he rebounded. And if he does all of those things, then, he's going to give the Pacers a chance. It's really that simple. But in order for it to happen, Pascal Siakam has to continue to be great. And that great is the right word because that's what he's been for the most part in this series. In all the post-game coverage that I saw last night and listened to this morning, Pascal Siakam was hardly discussed, which is normal for Pascal Siakam. For some reason, people never talk about him. But he was so incredibly important to the Pacers in their win last night. Just another night where he does everything. Pacers start 0 of 9 from the field, and this was the biggest thing that Pascal Siakam did. The Pacers looked tight. They looked like they were trying too hard, and what happens? Pascal Siakam knocks down the Pacers' first field goal of the game, his first shot. He hits a little turnaround jumper. Then he comes back down on the next possession, and guess what he does? He gets to the rim, gets fouled, and won. After he did that, the floodgates opened. Pacers made their next 4 shots. He got the lid off the basket. He helped the Pacers settle in. And that is a really important thing going into this next game. Which team settles in first? That could be the difference. And the fact that Pascal Siakam is a legitimate star with NBA Finals experience, with big game experience, like that favors the Pacers. The Thunder, their one player with legitimate NBA Finals experience is Alex Caruso, who's going to start the game on the bench more than likely. Unless, Mark Dagnall wants to make his third starting lineup switch of the NBA Finals, which I don't think we're going to see him do that. But Siakam hits that first shot, and everyone calmed down. Where everyone looked a little amped up early in the game, Pascal Siakam looked like this was like a Tuesday night game in January. He finished the night with 16 points on 6 of 14 shooting. He also had 13 rebounds. 5 of them were offensive rebounds. He also had 3 assists and a block, and he only turned the basketball over once after that miserable 6-turnover game in Game 5. He looked in control from the opening tip, scored 7 points in the first quarter. In the second quarter, he scored 6 points, 4 of them pretty emphatically. Dunks on Jalen Williams to put the Pacers up 20. How I wish I could have been in the building for that crowd pop. Oh, how awesome that would have been. And then, from there, he then comes down on the next possession, time winding down, hits another fall away at the buzzer to put him up 22 going into the half. When he hit that shot, the game fell over. And he's going to have to be highly impactful on Sunday if the Pacers are going to win. Simple as that. In Game 5, on the road, he was awesome. 28 points. Super efficient getting those 28 points, like 9 of 15 from the floor. He just has to avoid those long stretches where you don't realize that he's on the floor. He had stretches like that last night, but it didn't matter because the Pacer role players were so good. With that being said, I don't think every Pacer role player is going to be awesome in Game 7. Pascal Siakam has to have a moment at some point in the game for the Pacers to pull off the upset. The line opened at 8.5 for a reason. And I know that the Pacers have won time and time again in these playoffs as an underdog, but there's a reason why the Thunder are favored by 8.5. And they're not winning unless Haliburton and Siakam are both good. And they've got to have a role player game. I think the stars in this game, Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Pascal Siakam, and Tyrese Haliburton, I expect all 4 of them to be good. The game is going to be separated by role players. Who has a big night? Like, can TJ McConnell have his 3rd straight game where he comes in off the bench and just scores and pushes the pace and does all the things that you expect for TJ McConnell to do? Can Obi Toppin come in off the bench and hit 4 or 5 threes again? Can Aaron Nesmith have another really good shooting night in Oklahoma City? He shot the ball well there throughout this series. Can Mathurin have a game where he plays 12 minutes but scores 16 points? Kind of like what he did in Game 3, 27 points in 22 minutes. Can they have something like that happen? That is what I think is ultimately going to separate these two teams. Alex Caruso, like, if he gets 20, then the Thunder are probably going to win. But if Mathurin gets 17 and McConnell gets 12, give me the Pacers. That is what is going to separate the two teams on Sunday. I'm going to bet the Pacers plus 8.5. I know that. Or I guess it got down to 7.5 at one point last night. Maybe it went back up. I doubt it. We'll see. I'm actually trying to pull that up right now. But I think that game is going to be incredibly close. Both teams are incredibly tough. Both teams are incredibly resilient. It's Game 7, backs against the wall. Both teams are reasonably healthy. Tyrese Haliburton looked really good last night. Hopefully he looks that good again in Game 7 in extended minutes, because you know that he's playing more than 23 minutes on Sunday night. Let me pull up the line here. The line's down to 7.5. I would still take the Pacers. Plus 7.5. You can get it at minus 108. They're plus 235 on the money line if you want to sprinkle some there. Because, look, if the Pacers won Sunday night, like, I wouldn't be surprised at all. They're that good of a basketball team. They are legitimately one of the 2 best teams in the league. And they're 1 win away from proving that they are the best team in the NBA. And I can't wait. I can't wait to watch this game. We're going to get an all-time performance from someone. I don't know who it is yet. This is part of why Game 7s are great. You know, are we going to get 2011 Jason Terry, 27 points off the bench, hitting all these threes? Is that going to be Ben Shepherd? Is Ben Shepherd going to come out of the woodwork and just be hot and be like, 6 of 7 on open threes? I don't know. I can't wait to see how it all goes down. Monday, 10 to noon. Trust me, I'm going to have you covered on it. It's going to be good. Whether the show is going to be good, whether the Pacers win or not. Hopefully the Pacers do win, because if they do, Monday's show is going to be legendary. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch or listen to The Real Jonathan Smith Show. I'll be back again Monday from 10 to noon. Dan Dockage is off today. So the Rich Eisen Show is coming up next here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Peace.